Hello, my name is Naomi Gonzalez, and I am Vice President of Education and Community Engagement for the Mann Center. And I am joined by the wonderful and incredible Tom Whitman. We are both board members of the organization Network for New Music, an amazing organization that premieres new works of music and keeps things fresh, very exciting. Today we're going to be talking about ACOSA. ACOSA is an All-City Orchestra Summer Academy. This is a Mann Center program that is a partnership program. It is a orchestra training camp that happens over the summer, and it serves middle school and high school students from the Philadelphia School District. And this is a partnership program. We work with the Philadelphia Orchestra, the School District of Philadelphia, Project for 40, and Network for New Music. This summer we had to go virtual, like all programs, and we had to get creative in what we're going to provide. So aside from your sectionals and your orchestra classes, we decided to give an outlet for students to be creative and create their things. And the amazing Tom was incredibly generous to step in this new concept of providing composition classes for the program. And so we had about 100 students, and many of those students got to meet Tom. So Tom, thank you so much for joining me today. Do you want to just briefly introduce yourself and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Naomi. Yes, I'm Tom Whitman. I'm a composer. I've been on the faculty of Swarthmore College for almost 30 years. I was very pleased to be invited to be part of the ACOSA project last summer. It was a wonderful opportunity for me to teach composition to high school kids, which I'd actually never done before. My goal for the project was to get everybody to think of themselves as composers. I think part of the problem with classical music instruction is that people think of the notes as this sort of sacred text that is beyond human touch. And I think that the more we can think of ourselves as composers, the more we can take ownership of the material of music and bring our own voice into it. And that's true whether all we do is stay as performers or whether we also bring a creative component to the work we do. So I asked everybody to compose. Not everyone did because they were very busy. They had a lot of other projects they were working on, but many of the students did compose pieces during the 2 weeks that I worked with them, and the pieces were just wonderful. Tremendous stylistic variety, tremendous enthusiasm for music, and a wonderful sense of let's just put this on the paper or put it on video and see what it's like and see what we come up with. And it was just a thrill for me to watch what the kids came up with.
Tom, I thank Network for New Music for always supporting these educational initiatives. Tom, I thank you so much for your passion. And I am definitely I know where you are, and I'm going to grab you, make sure that you're part of our summer coming up, because it really adds some magic to what we do. And yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks very much for having me.
Welcome, audiences. Today we have another installment of interviews with composers. And today we have a featured composer, Divine Epps. So welcome, Divine. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And thank you for joining us today. I would like to ask you to please introduce yourself to our audiences, please.
Well, my name is Divine Epps. I'm 17 years old. I just transferred to Kappa High School. I play the cello, and I'm in a couple programs like PMA, as well as I'm participating in Musicopia and Sinfonia, and I'm also doing an orchestra in All City too.
Great, you've got a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
And tell us what PMA is for anybody who might not know what that is.
Well, PMA is basically a program which helps students who want to do music in college to prepare for that, starting, I believe, in grade 5, but I started in grade 7. And so throughout this program, they'll give you opportunities like helping you go to summer programs for music, or sometimes we'll have performances that you'll do like recitals, and they'll help you just succeed.
Excellent. And you said a summer program, so that brings us to the summer program that you did last summer at the Mann Center. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
So basically, I participated in the All City Summer Camp, and there it was pretty fun. We played a piece called Farandole by George Bitsit, and we also had collaborative music, which was one of my favorite classes because we discussed reasons why people make music for the reasons of, protesting or just to get something out there to bring attention to or bring awareness to something. And we also did yoga for musicians, which was interesting because being at home during COVID times and doing yoga was very weird, but it was like pretty fun for me. And then we also did Composition 101, which is what I wrote for my piece, Sunflower Warrior.
Yes, could you please tell us a little bit about that? So you said you played the cello, and this is a piece for cello, right?
Yeah, so basically I wrote Sunflower Warrior for cello because that's my main instrument and I'm still learning, trying to get used to my tenor clef and treble clef still. And so I played it in a comfortable clef for cello, and it's just, I could probably play it on my cello just for the comfortability. And basically when I wrote this piece, I was watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. And so that's why the title is called Sunflower Warrior, because there was this group named Kyoshi Warriors who were female fighters who would protect their city and whatnot. And I named it that for the inspiration of the show, which I thought was pretty fun.
Oh, that's great. I love that. That's a great thing to know too, as we listen to the performance of it. Now, could you tell me more about like other kinds of music that you're writing and performing in?
So I haven't wrote anything else this past summer, but I just got finished recording for my spring recital for PMA, and my friend Jayla and I, we just finished our Vivaldi cello concerto in G minor, and we did it with a pianist accompaniment. And so if you watch PMA's recital in the spring, you'll see me and my friend playing.
Oh, that's
And
great.
and I'm also working on the Saint-Saëns cello concerto #1 and the Brahms sonata in E minor, as well as the second suite in Bach. So yeah.
That's a big program to find. That's a lot of music.
Yeah. So we're only like working on 2 of the pieces for my jury video, but for my jury video for this fall or last fall, we basically did the Brahms and the Saint-Saëns for the opposing, I guess, pieces, because they both contrast in 2 different ways. Yeah.
That's great. Well, you mentioned that you haven't written anything yet, but I'm sure you've been thinking about writing a lot of music.
I have.
What would you like to do next? What's in your mind? What are you thinking about?
Well, right now in my noggin, I've been thinking about maybe writing another piece I want to try for piano. I don't know anything about piano, but I know that there's 2 different clefs, and that probably would challenge me to like read treble clef and bass clef. So I wouldn't want to write something too hard, maybe something simple. So once I go back and rewrite it, I can have more time to fill in the spaces and just improve on it.
Well, that's excellent, Divine. And thank you for taking this time to speak with us today. It's clear from the Sunflower Warrior that you've got a lot of music in you. And it sounds like you're playing a lot of music. So we're really excited for you and wish you well in your jury and your performances. And thank you again for sharing your great music with our audiences.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Thanks, Divine.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, Cyrano. Welcome to our March event, which is going to feature an arrangement of your composition and arrangement of Amazing Grace. So welcome, Cyrano. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, hello. My name is Cyrano Rosentrater. I am an aspiring composer and musician that lives in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I play the violin and the piano. I go to Julia R. Masterman School. And one thing that I'm delving into right now is digital audio workstations and sampling that will hopefully bring my music to new levels.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that with us. So you said that you played, tell us the instruments that you play again?
Violin and piano.
And how long have you studied those?
I have studied those, well, violin, 9 years, piano, 8 years.
Excellent. And do you play in any ensembles with the violin?
I am in the Philadelphia Youth Artists Orchestra. And I'm also in the orchestra in my school, Julia R. Masterman School.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, you play these instruments, but you also do lots of composition too.
Yeah.
So how did you become interested in composition?
Well, before I was at Masterman, I went to Greenfield Elementary, and a very great teacher, Miss Nina Wilkinson, she introduced me to composition. And from there, I taught myself. My piano teacher taught me some theory. I've received some outside instruction from like camps. I met Dr. Tom Whitman, great composer. I've been growing ever since, and I aspire to keep on growing.
Yeah, so you mentioned Dr. Whitman, who is an outstanding composer. So you've got a great teacher for composition. And you also mentioned that you were involved in some summer programs.
Yeah.
So we met through the collaboration between the Network for New Music and the Mann Center. Could you tell us a little bit about what you did in those summer programs?
Well, at the Mann Center camp, the ACOSA, we played the Farandole by Bizet in the virtual orchestra from the L'Arlésienne Suite No. 2. And that was when I met the great composer, Dr. Tom Whitman, who I am still in contact with. I have private lessons with him every now and then. I also had some violin masterclasses with some exceptional concert musicians. And I also played the Bach double violin concerto in D minor with my virtual stand partner, Kai.
Oh, that's great. Excellent. So you mentioned Bizet. What are some of your favorite pieces or favorite composers?
Well, Bizet is definitely a great composer. Start with that. And some great composers are like Beethoven, Bach, definitely, J.S. Bach, and some of the late romantics and like Strauss. And also I really like the Shostakovich and Prokofiev, and even stemming on into film music like John Williams.
Oh, that's great. Excellent. Now when you were doing the introduction, you mentioned that you're also interested, you've got some home studio. So what kind of software and what do you use when you compose?
Well, at first I started off with Sibelius, which I still do use. Mm-hmm. And then I got this first sampling software called Note Performer. And Note Performer is very good for creating like mock-ups on the fly. So I feel that Note Performer is very, very good. Later on, I started using Reaper as my first digital audio workstation. And then I started using other virtual instruments like Contact and some things from Spitfire Audio, Orchestral Tools, Native Instruments, all those different companies.
Oh, that's excellent. And when we present your arrangement, which is a digital arrangement of Amazing Grace, we're going to be using some of that software, and some of that software is used for film and television. So
yeah,
you'll really like it. Now, could you tell us a little bit about how you came to compose Amazing Grace? How did you work on that piece? How did you select it and how did you write it?
Well, I remember Dr. Whitman gave in the ACOSA some options for us to compose and to present. And one of them was to do something with Amazing Grace. So what I did is I opened up Sibelius. I had no performer on the configuration on the ready, and I transcribed it onto the trumpet. I added some French horns and some tuba for harmony, another trumpet to create a round, make things more interesting. And then finally, a glockenspiel right at the very top of the frequencies to give it some like higher feelings, like give it some higherness to your ears.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's really, really wonderful, Cyrano. I think it's a lovely composition, and we're looking forward to sharing it with audiences.
Thank you.
Now, what else have you composed, and what are you working on now?
Well, some other things I've written include a horn concerto for solo horn and orchestra, a chamber work for violin, viola, cello, and clarinet, and that won the state in Pennsylvania, which is where I live, in the MTNA National Teachers Association, National Music Teachers Association. I won the state of Pennsylvania, and I also won the state of Pennsylvania last year in the Corelli variations of variations on La Folia, the theme of Corelli. And I also write small works for friends, and I have to give thanks to my piano and theory teacher, Dr. Ariane Alexander, and my violin teacher, Mr. Scott Wagner, for all the mentorship they've given me, so I've been able to write works like this. I'm currently writing a neo-Baroque classical violin sonata and a neo-romantic orchestral tone poem.
Oh, that sounds great, Cyrano. Those sound like really interesting projects.
Thank you.
And it does sound like you've benefited from excellent teachers.
Yes.
And we're very pleased to present your piece. And we'd ask all of our audiences, it sounds like you've got a very bright future ahead of you. And we look forward to hearing many, many more of your pieces.
Thank you. I'm excited as well.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.